In order to get a good perspective of where the market is going and how you should set up your swing trades, one of the best things that you can do is just zoom out. So today we're going to take a look at the S&P 500. We're going to start on the monthly and narrow down using the Heiken Ashi candles. First, I just want to give an update on my positions that I talked about the other day. So SQQQ right now is up 15.65%, given the fact that I doubled my position size, and originally it was around 16% before I doubled my position size. That is about a 2x move on the profit so far. The S&P 500 short that I have open right now is up 4.31%, and then the Nvidia call that I talked about the other day, I am currently having a short position open on that right now. It is up 8% right now. I do have other positions open, but those are the ones that I'm covering on the channel so far. So let's just get right into the S&P 500 on the monthly chart with the Heiken Ashi candles open. So right now, if you just look at this right now and you go down the checklist, we have right away this red cloud forming, and it's looking like it hit off of this resistance level that has pretty much been pretty strong since back in the beginning of January of this year. Now we do have a doji candle right now, and that is actually two Heiken Ashi doji candles. So what that's suggesting is a potential reversal. However, the reversal is not strong. What you want to see is something like this. These candles right here, that is suggesting a strong uptrend. Okay, so right now we have a little bit of a reversal potentially, but nothing solidified right now on the monthly. And you can always look back in history, see how the other recessions have done with the Heiken Ashi candles and see how they compare to this one. So keep that in mind as well. Now we are approaching this 50-day moving average, so we might see a retest of that. We did test it back in October and bounced up, and we're looking for a retest there, especially if you're going short. As far as the TSI, I have the TSI open pretty big right now because it's a pretty big indicator, especially on these larger time frames. We're still heading down. And if you bring up the RSI, let's see what the RSI is saying. So the simple moving average is pointing down. Now, on our previous videos, we said that we want to short the market when the simple moving average is pointed down, and we want to go long on the market when the simple moving average is in the upside direction. Now, when you get out to the monthlies, things can get a little weird, so you want to take it with a grain of salt. But right now, we're still short as far as how the monthly is concerned. And we're looking to see some sideways action. We're going to look to see which side is going to break. Now, one of the most underutilized time frame is the 2-week. Reason being is because everyone goes from the 1 week to the 1 month, but you're skipping a huge important time frame in between there that might really give you some good indication of where things are going. So on the monthly time frame, you can see this wedge forming a little bit closer. In the previous video, we did say that it might do some sideways action and then either bounce back up and retest this trend line or come back down and break through. Now, if we break through this trend line, we're looking for a pretty strong, significant turn to the downside, because we don't have the support until about, let's move myself here, till about 373, or excuse me, till 334.36. So right now we're bouncing around 373. That's where that current floor is right now. So as far as the Heiken Ashi candles are concerned, we do have a red Heiken Ashi candle. It is not a doji, so that, as far as we are concerned, is considered the beginning of a downtrend. Now, if we look at this downtrend since it began on the 2-week time frame, every time we've had this red downturn, we haven't had a reversal for, let's see, here was 1, 2, 3 candles after. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles after. This is 1, 2, 3 candles after. So as far as I'm concerned with my short positions, if this continues to play out and we get 2 or 3 more red Heiken Ashi candles, we're looking at another bearish sentiment and another downtrend for about, a month and a half to 2 months. And that is where your current open short positions, if they are staying open the entire time, is going to play out good for you. Something to keep in mind, however, is the TSI and the RSI is starting to get a little exhausted. Up here would have been a great time to short, but we're no longer there. Up here, we're still above that moving average, so it was a weak downturn, but you had a couple weeks to react there. If we can just go back, let's just minimize this for a little bit. And same with the RSI too. The RSI is starting to get exhausted, and you see almost like a double bottom right here. So if the RSI, if this tests this simple moving average and bounce up, we could see potentially hitting this top or even breaking through the top of that trend line, which would be bad for shorts. So I'm gonna, once I narrow down to the 1 hour, around there, I'm gonna talk about where I'm gonna start setting my stop losses. But for now, if we just go back to 2008, you can continue to see that on these 2 weeks. Whenever there's a 2 week, it's never followed by a green candle right away. There's never a red downturn and then a green uptrend. There's always a couple candles here while it's under this Bjorgum red cloud and under this moving average, which is important to remember that we are still under this moving average on the 2 week. Now it is testing it hard, and the bulls are giving a fight. I mean, they are trying to get above this moving average. So far the bears have held on. And if you go back to the .com bubble here, the same thing plays out where you have these 2 week candles, and it's very rare that you get much of a green right after. I mean, the closest we had right here was you had one candle here, one red candle, another a doji, and then an uptrend, but it just still continued this downtrend here. So that's something to look at and something to pay attention to in terms of how you're analyzing these different time frames. So let's go down to the weekly right now. And again, you can see we're in a red Heiken Ashi candle right here. It's a pretty strong one. Now we saw a little bit of a blue cloud forming. It looked like there could have potentially been a trend reversal, but it bounced off of this moving average, and now it's starting to form. If you just get rid of the candles right now, it's starting to form a red cloud once again, but there's just a lot of chop right here. So as far as any long positions or short positions on swing trades, you might start to think about putting a tight stop loss or just starting to scale out and seeing where this thing is going. In the long overall right now, so far from what we've seen, I'm not seeing more sentiment for the bulls. I'm seeing more sentiment from the bears, but let's just keep going here. If we just bring up, again, we're on the weekly. If we bring up the TSI, we have a little bit of an uptrend here, but we're still kind of exhausted. So that's kind of giving case that there might be some more upside to continue before we see some more downturn, if we do in fact see some more downturn. On the RSI, bring up the RSI here. Now this is where we're seeing a test of this simple moving average. Now tests can definitely go past this simple moving average. It can come down and then come back up to the upside, because this is starting to see a little bit of a trend reversal, although this right here is a lower high. And right now the RSI is past the simple moving average, but it's still just very early to tell. So we're kind of in no man's land right now. So far we're in the middle of the pack. It would be really nice if the RSI was a little higher right now and coming down, but it looks like it's just consolidating, and the price action is just consolidating as well. And so we're looking to really break again. This 373 level would be pretty key. And you can play these Heiken Ashi candles if you have an open position on the weekly. You can just keep holding on to your shorts until you start seeing a holding on to your shorts in more ways than one, but holding on to your short positions until you see a green candle and then scale out. But it's all up to your trading strategy. Let's go down to the 1 day time frame. Now, this is where you do see some room to run on the downside of the TSI. RSI is still middle of the road, but it's pretty clearly below this simple moving average. Now, this is where you can start to see the consolidation more defined. I drew up this triangle, and you'll see this triangle a little bit better once we get down to the smaller time frames. But if this 373 breaks, that's what we're talking about, where we're breaking down to 347 before we have a test, and then going even lower to like 334. And if you just look at this trend line overall, this bigger trend line, we're still near the top of this trend line, this trend channel. We're kind of in the middle of the pack on its way down, but it doesn't necessarily have to hold. This could break, this could wedge through until we break to the upside. So it's something to keep in mind. Now, the 4 hour is really very similar to the daily, just a little bit more HD level, I guess, a little bit more defined, if you will. You can see, again, we're testing this here. Now, as far as the TSI is concerned and the RSI, we're still in a downward trend. So I have this open right here. So, if we get a bounce off, as far as the TSI is concerned, a bounce off of this trend line, we're looking at something where it's going to bounce off of this moving average and then come back down. So that's looking bearish as well. The thing that's really holding its own is this support at 374 that we called out, that was going to play out a couple days ago before it actually hit it. And if you go down to the 2 hour, you'll be able to see this wedge pretty clearly in what I'm talking about. So we see higher lows and we see lower highs right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have another sideways somewhat trading day, if anything more to the upside. And this is where I'm talking about, where as far as starting to consider my stop loss positions, I'm starting to think of about 386-ish is where I want to consider having a stop loss. Reason being is because I'd still be in the green there as far as my SQQQ. Tomorrow I might just close my NVIDIA and see where it's going, but at the same time I haven't really looked at the NVIDIA chart in great detail yet, so I'm going to take a look at that. But if you go down to the 1 hour, you can see a little bit more where it's just bouncing off. It's almost like it wants to crawl up, and there's just a little bit too much downward pressure. So the next couple days is going to be significant as far as the direction of the market. Now, there's the whole Santa rally that's looming, which is probably scaring a little people that want to go short. The Santa rally can, they say it's 5 days, the 26th through the 31st. The Santa rally can go really into a week into January. It's tax harvesting, things like that, getting ready for the next year. So it can be tough to tell how strong we're going to have a Santa rally, if we're going to have one. Some people are saying it started already. Some people are saying this is it. Some are saying we're not going to get it at all. So there's a little bit of consolidation here. It's very similar to how this is right here. And so, the question is if, for me, if I have trades open, shorts, do I want to play this, or do I want to scale out and then just wait for this to come back down and then play it? There's a lot of indecision right now in the market. It's kind of giving a little bit of mixed signals. So what I would say is overall, I'm still bearish, but I'm gonna pay close attention to my shorts, and I might close some out tomorrow and then just wait for a good time to re-enter. You know, maybe if I see something good with TQQQ, I might go long, something like that. But if you like this content and you want to see more, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can see all my latest content. We're up to, I think, 160 subscribers, close to that. I really appreciate all the subscribers, and keep in mind, just hitting the like button helps tremendously to a YouTube channel as far as just getting attention with the algorithm and all the likes. All right, so appreciate it. Hit the notification bell if you are subscribed, and we will see you next time. Thank you.